maybe the program, the state of the program.
Well, I agree with you on offense. They had that really nice drive there midway through the first quarter. All that touchdown took a 7-0 lead and looked really terrific on that. And then, after that, it was just a lot of floundering around out there. And you just have to wonder what exactly they were trying to do because, it looked like Texas A&M was able to diagnose some of their plays quickly, was able to hit them in the backfield a number of times. I think they had, it was around 12 or 13 tackles for loss, which is completely unacceptable. And, and then the third quarter when the defense comes out and gets 3 straight 3-and-outs, and that's a huge momentum for that offense. And, the offense never responded to that. And I think that just really killed their chances of winning that game. And as far as the future goes, we'll see. That loss against Texas A&M makes this week's game against LSU just that much bigger in so many ways. There's a big difference between 1-3 and 2-2, and and what a win over a team like LSU could do for this Auburn team. But then again, would have lost another straight home loss to a SEC and Power 5 school. Could also do it the other way. So this is a big game coming up.
Yeah, Auburn, that second drive you mentioned, they go down the field, had an 80-yard drive for a touchdown. They've got pace. They're running the ball. They're doing some quick passing as well. But it seems like, and this has kind of been the MO, for the last year, really. After about 2 series, the defensive coordinator on the other side makes some adjustments, and it just seems like Auburn goes into a shell. There was no attempt at all to go downfield. We were talking about it in the first segment. I don't know as I've ever seen a team whose cornerbacks were kind of jumping routes more than Texas A&M was Saturday night.
And and then their safeties were basically sprinting, up to the line of scrimmage right at snap, and they were hitting their run keys immediately and making plays. And one thing Gus said today in his press conference was he didn't do a good job of making adjustments early on, and that's one thing they're going to work on this week. It was a different press conference today. I'll say I've never seen Gus Malzahn, like he was ever today. This is the first time I've ever seen him like this before.
Kind of expand on that a little bit. I was going to ask you what the press conference was like today. What he had to say. What do you mean? I've never.
Well, he opened up just basically saying he's been at Auburn for 7 years, as a coordinator and head coach, and experienced some good times and some rough times. And he said the last 2 losses have probably hurt him worse than any of the others. And he said he understands the fans' disappointment, and he said they should be. And he said he's got to do a better job, and it starts with him. And he's got to do a better job coaching this team. And he talked about too many negative plays. He hasn't adjusted well during games. He said his play calling has been an issue. So he basically took full responsibility, put the performance of the offense on his shoulders, as it should be. It's his offense.
Well, what do you think Auburn does about the QB situation? Was there any mention of that? John Franklin comes in.
Sean White's going to be
Okay.
Yeah, Sean White's going to be the starter. John Franklin available if needed. But I think they still feel like Sean White gives them the best chance to win, and they're going to try to design an offense, I think, that's going to use his skills better. He's a smart, pretty accurate passer, who can make some plays. But I don't think they put him in the best position. This past game against Texas A&M, we'll see what they come up with against LSU.
Yeah, not throwing the ball downfield, just throwing the ball laterally.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps saying we need to throw the ball more on first down. Yeah, I think it's implied, though, that you have to throw the ball more than
right.
Not behind the line of scrimmage or lateral.
Right.
No,
I agree. That's the reason you throw on first down is you get your little bit extra time and you catch the defense think and run, and you get maybe an extra half step or so to make a difference. Like I said, I don't have an explanation for what went on last Saturday.
What do you? You've been in on this. You've been probably closer to it than certainly Joe fan like us out here. But you've watched Gus Malzahn for these 7 years, and it just seemed like he's a different guy now. Do you think it's the pressure of the situation? Do you think it's the I don't know the players on the team that he? I don't. Why has he seemed to regress so much as a play caller, do you think?
Well, I think the number one issue is he hasn't done a good enough job recruiting certain elements on offense, including quarterback, tackle, and some other areas. And he just has not been able to get the most out of what he has. He's been trying to do too much, and he just doesn't have the players to do those type of things. And I mean, if Auburn had Lamar Jackson and, maybe a really good, left tackle or maybe one or two other good linemen, maybe Greg Robinson or whatever, they might be pretty darn good right now, but they don't have those players. And you got to find another way, to keep the ball moving consistently. And he hasn't just been able to adjust to that very well.
Just a sidebar, I've heard so many people, and I know Lamar Jackson was maybe on the Auburn's radar, but you hear people say all the time, well, Lamar Jackson wanted to come to Auburn, but Auburn didn't offer him a scholarship. Any truth to that?
Well, they technically offered him a scholarship, but what happened was they brought him up during the summer, had a private workout with him and Gus and Rhett and, some guys, and took a look at him and just decided not to move forward on him. They were recruiting some other quarterbacks at the time that they ended up missing on. And as it turns out, it was just in hindsight, it was a terrible decision. Lamar Jackson would be an all-star and Gus Malzahn's offense. He's the type of quarterback that's been ultra successful. I think he's clearly better than Nick Marshall was, as a passer and probably as a runner too. And, the numbers he puts up, he's a different type of player than Ken did, but he puts up those type of numbers. And, that happens to every school at every position at times. You miss players, but Auburn's missed too many times at quarterback and made too many misevaluations, and that puts them in the situation they are right now.
Well, of course, when you start out 1-2 and you have one side of the ball that is playing better than the other, the defense certainly there's room for improvement, but they are playing well, I think. Maybe the eye test tells you they're playing better than they have in the last several years. The offense very much struggling. You wonder about the team remaining unified. Do you think that's going to be an issue as we move forward?
I think it could be if this continues. I don't think it is now. I think the coaches have done a really good job of keeping the team unified. You can hear that when you talk to them and you talk to players and you ask them about it. They seem determined. I think they know that how it could be if this goes on and they start pointing fingers. That only makes things worse. It doesn't make it better. So I think right now they're in a good place, and both sides of the ball are working really hard to get better. I think Kevin Steele is preaching to the defense that they can play better than they play. They can force more turnovers. They can make some more plays. They can not give up 89-yard runs, however long that was. So as long as they've got that going, and as long as the players are sticking up for each other, I think Auburn's in good shape as far as that goes.
Well, the LSU Tigers come into Jordan-Hare Stadium Saturday. Last time they entered Jordan-Hare Stadium, it was a good night for Auburn. We'll see how that turns out this week. But like you said, now a loss, Auburn 1-2. They're desperate 3 games into the season. LSU has made a change at quarterback. You still have Leonard Fournette, but this is definitely a beatable LSU team. How would you go about attacking this team?
No, I agree with you that LSU's got plenty of issues on offense themselves. They got a couple of talented receivers that they can get the ball to a lot of times. They've already changed their starting quarterback, and he doesn't have a lot of experience playing in this league and playing in an atmosphere like you'll see at Jordan-Hare Stadium Saturday evening. So, and I think Auburn's going to be so motivated to play well against Leonard Fournette after what happened. And after every time you see Leonard Fournette highlights on TV, it's usually him running over Auburn. So I just think this team defensively is going to play really well against LSU. I really do. But, they could do that and Auburn could still lose. So the offense has got to find a way to score some points and to control the ball a little bit better and not have so many quick 3-outs and keep this defense well rested and playing well against a guy like Leonard Fournette.
One recruiting question. Auburn's had some tough luck with guys that have committed to Auburn in this class. Austin Troxell, was it confirmed? Did he tear his ACL?
I think that's what the report had. I know Jeffrey had a story up. I know it's a season-ending torn ACL on the same knee that he injured last year, and I know he's very disappointed, and coaches are. But he made a full comeback from the last one, and I know they're confident he can do the same. So we'll just have to see. I don't know if they wear braces at Madison County. I know in college every team offensive linemen wear braces. I don't know if they do the same there or how, when it happened, or any details about it. But just wish him a quick recovery, and hopefully he'll be 100% when he shows up at Auburn here sometime next year.
Well, Brian, we appreciate it so much as always. Kind of give us a little idea of what's going on at auburnsports.com this week.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've had a ton of coverage just today from, I guess, his press conference. We've got a few stories up already, and his video, and commit tracker, and some recruiting updates. So we'll continue to roll that out this week, and focus a little bit more on LSU as we get for the end of the week. And of course, I expect there's going to be a pretty good recruiting weekend with some official and unofficial visitors. And we'll keep up with basketball recruiting too as we get a little bit closer to that early sign-up period in November.
Yeah, looking forward to basketball season. Who would have thought you would have said that? Brian, we appreciate it so much as always. You have a great rest of the week, and thanks again.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
All right. Up against the break here. Don't go anywhere. More Sports Call on the way right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy and Randy here with you for one more segment in the first hour of today's show. Give us a call, 1-888-9-TIGER-9, toll-free locally at 334-887-3401. Give us your diagnosis of the Auburn Tigers, 3 games into the 2016 season, 1-2 now as they fall to Texas A&M. I think everybody's pretty much everybody's got their own opinions about what needs to happen. What you had a good question of the day. What's the most optimistic?
What's the best case scenario?
Best case scenario
for the rest of the season.
For the rest of the year.
You can make that up however you want.
7-6.
You can make it a record. You can make it. Does he
new
hold
coach?
on to his job?
Yeah.
Is it a new coach? I mean, to you, what's the best case scenario for Auburn as you left the stadium the other night, or if you left the stadium a couple of times? That's the depressing thing. All these home games and still head scratching, and I thought it was revealing. Brian Matthews saying, as you said, really he's never seen Gus Malzahn like he was at the press conference. I wouldn't call it defeatist, but knocked down a bit.
Downtrodden,
confidence waning.
Knows it's not going right. You know.
All of those things that we've been worried about for really 2 seasons, Andy, because this started last year. It started where you'd watch the sideline, you go, man, I almost feel for him. You really do. I mean, if anybody's ever had confidence issues, depression-type issues, I ain't calling them depressed. I'm saying if you've ever been through any of that, and most have. Some of you out there may be lucky enough that you're always very confident, but I can say I have. And if you watch somebody that's had issues, or if you've ever lived through it yourself, which I have, maybe you have too, Andy, but when you're fighting through that and you see somebody else doing it, man, it hurts for you. Now, yeah, you can always spin it and say, well, all that money and all. I mean, but still, you still hate to see go to the level
especially somebody
that
who's winning all their life.
Yeah, I know it.
I mean, you know, he's not used to losing, and now that's all he's doing, it seems like. Here's a little more rain for the parade, but 32 tackles for loss now. Auburn has given up 14 to Clemson, 13 to Texas A&M. That would be dead last in FBS Division I football. Absolute dead last, 128 out of 128. That you can't have that many negative plays, and that's just part of the problem. But that goes back to when you just play and not making the defense respect anything more than 10 yards. The safeties are flying up to the line of scrimmage every play. The cornerbacks are jumping routes. So, I mean, unless you're going deep over their head, you're not softening them up at all, and it just affects everything that you do, and it just becomes in a vice. And the longer the game goes, the tighter it gets. But there's a very, very disturbing trend going back to Tulsa in 2009. In Tulsa in 2009, a man by the name of Herb Hand was the offensive line coach. Tulsa was 105th in the country in giving up tackles for loss. He moved over to Vanderbilt in 2010. They were 107th in the country in giving up tackles for loss. In 2011, they were 113th in the country in giving up tackles for loss. 2012, they were 111th. 2013, they went all the way up to 82nd. He moved over to Penn State in 2014. They were 122nd in the country. Then they were 113th in the country. Now Auburn is 128th in the country in tackles for loss. That does not bode well.
So getting tackled for loss to go along with our lack of tackling for loss.
Yes.
Which last year was anemic.
And this year hadn't been a lot better.
Back to the phone lines. Terry, you're on Sports Call.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call.
Glad to have you, Terry.
Yes, sir. I know, Gus Malzahn is under the spotlight because football is the main thing going right now, and he's not doing real well. And I say he's a high-powered high school coach. But the first person that needs to go at Auburn, which I don't have a dog in the fight, but it's Jay Jacobs. You guys are up on the stats. I'm not. I want you to tell me, since he has been athletic director, of all of his coaches' hires, including the great Bruce Pearl, tell me what their success rate is since he's been there. And I'll hang up and let you give me the answer. And I once again thank you for taking my call.
Thank you so much, Terry. We appreciate your phone call. Andy and I did, I guess, about a whole show, multiple shows on that back in the summer, Andy. And maybe your memory is a little better than mine, but the only thing that stood out to me is in the top three sports, football, basketball, and baseball, they're not a close second to Auburn being dead last in overall wins and winning percentage in those three sports in the last, how long was it you look back, Andy?
10 years, maybe 15.
I think you did multiples.
Yeah.
I think you did it several different segues.
Right. Clint Myers, that's probably the only one with that's the only one I can think of as far as hiring that he hired and has been really successful. I mean, Bruce Pearl is going to get there, I think.
If he doesn't, though, I mean,
it can't be done.
It can't be done.
Yeah.
Yes, I think he's doing all that he possibly can. But that's a program that has never won.
No.
Let's don't compare it to football, and let's don't even compare it to baseball either.
No.
Baseball hasn't won since Hal Baird left, but we won a lot before then, including Hal Baird's time. I think we got, 2 winning seasons in SEC play in the last 16 years since Hal Baird left. Oh, that's right. I've read that one before a lot. It's disturbing. I think we've got the right guy, but you cannot spin it.
No.
It's impossible to sit up here and continue to spin it. The three sports that give you a potential of bringing a profit.
And that's why I say, for everybody that wants and is all aboard, fire Gus Malzahn. Remember who's going to be picking his replacement. You better think about it. That's all I'm going to say. Up against the break. Fox Sports Report is coming up next. Randy and I will be back with hour number 2 of Sports Call right after this.
Call in now at 887-3401 locally. Or 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free.
Struck him out.
And now, coming to you live from the loveliest village on the plains, Sports Call.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy Graham and Randy Lee here with you for one more hour. Taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll free or locally at 334-887-3401. Of course, talking about Auburn and Texas A&M and the game that was on Saturday night. Everything that went wrong for the Tigers, where they move forward from here. Randy had a good question of the day. What's the best case scenario in your mind for Auburn as we move forward in this season? Is that could be their final record, best case scenario, maybe best case scenario as far as a coaching change is concerned? What do you think the best case scenario is for Auburn moving forward? We'll take your predictions later this week. LSU at Auburn. I think we'll go with Leonard Fournette rushing yards for this week. But, again, we'd love to know your thoughts. We'll get to the 5 at 5, presented by Coors Light. But your phone calls always come first on the Pieology Hotline.
Ed, you're on Sports Call.
Hey, guys. How are y'all doing?
Good. Glad to have you, Ed.
Yes, I appreciate y'all taking my call. There's not a whole lot that I can add, but I did want to, like you said, losing 10 of the last 12. But when you mentioned the top three, I had called in this summer with this stat. You take the top three of men's baseball and football, and there has never, ever in the history of Auburn Athletics than a year as bad as last year. They were .410 overall winning percentage and .256 in the winning percentage, and that's the worst that Auburn has ever had. You know, in the 1800s, worst ever. And it's saying, I think Gus has completely lost his confidence. He just seems lost out there, and I do feel for him. But that doesn't mean that I want him to stay. And what's been interesting to me to listen to the show is that I don't think you've had a caller that really wants Jay Jacobs, and I'm going to have to agree with him, that wants Jay Jacobs to pick the next head coach. And I think the best case scenario would be a resignation pending the end of the year for both Jay and Gus, and let a committee within the university go ahead and start looking for a coach. And I know a lot of people are going to go straight to Petrino because of what Louisville's doing, but there's a lot of good coaches out there. But the best case scenario would walk away like Bowden did, middle of the year. Best case scenario would be Gus announcing that, hey, I'm leaving at the end of the year, and let Auburn go ahead and start, transitioning to a new coach, talking and getting that set up. And because I don't think it's going to get much better, guys. It just doesn't look like that to me, and I wish it would. And I feel for the players, I really do. And but some of the stats that y'all been reading off about, like Herb Hand, I didn't realize some of his lines have been that bad. You got, and somebody on Facebook said, well, do you really want to start the cycle again? Well, I don't think anybody really wants to continue this cycle that we're in. We've won 2 out of our last 12 SEC games. Now, that's not a cycle that I want to continue. and I don't think anybody does. And I think our players deserve better coaching. The coaches are not giving the players a chance to win football games. And that's just my take on it. And I appreciate y'all taking my call. Have a good day.
Good phone call, Ed. We'll go back to the phone lines. Grenade, you're on Sports Call.
Hey, guys.
Glad to have you, Grenade.
Hey, well, Andy, you said something about, hey, we don't know coaching. I really wish we could understand what they're thinking. That's what's so mind-boggling. You were talking about that block, and you just go, with our limited coaching expertise based on maybe playing a long time ago, for me, a long, long time ago, you go, well, that's just dumb. And it's all through the game. The one thing you always deal with to me is timing of your routes with receivers. And I'm going to say this, Sean is a good quarterback. I think he has whatever it is where you step into the pocket and you're not afraid and you know where the receivers are supposed to be. Yeah, he missed one that I don't know what happened, but as far as understanding where the players, I think he's a great quarterback. But timing with your receivers, I saw it with Nick Marshall, right? You got to be out there with all your receivers, and then you have somebody like Sammy who's fast but doesn't always run full speed. And then all of a sudden, Nick's overthrowing him. But you hear that all the time about receivers and quarterbacks going the extra mile, getting out there and getting their timing down. Well, Gus kind of killed some of that by doing the 3-quarterback rotation, so he took some timing away from Sean and even JF3. Then you see plays where, all right, it's already hard. 3-step drop, where are they going to be? 5-step drop, how fast are they? Then instead, we're going to come in with a Chandler Cox takes it, pitches it to KJ, who pitches it to JF3, who is out there pretending to be a receiver and then a blocker, and now he's the quarterback. And, yeah, his timing was a little bit off. Are you kidding me? I mean, of course it's off. What kind of plays who's coming up with that? And how do you think that's not going to blow up? I don't understand how we lost fundamental coaching, because I remember hearing Gus on ESPN whiteboarding and showing everybody all this stuff like, hey, I'm the guy who teaches clinics and I'm the guy who does this. And then fundamental things like blocking and timing and just basic routes. When somebody's crashing, you do a screen, you take advantage of what they're doing. And suddenly he doesn't know how to coach. And I disagree with you, Andy. I think we do know how to coach better, because I don't think it takes much to be better than that right there.
Yeah, I'll give you the credit. I'm not going to I'm like, I don't know. I would like to be in there. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure Herb Hand or Gus could stand up here and they would give a wonderful explanation about why you run that blocking scheme on that play. Like I say, I mean, every play that's designed is designed to work. But everybody's got to do their job, and you don't account for this or that. But you run that play one time, and it doesn't work. It blows up. We get sacked on the first play of the game. That's fine. Throw it out. We ran it 3 more times, I think. We ran it against Clemson, and it never worked. But yet we continue to try to run it. And that's just a microcosm of the downward spiral that we seem to be in as far as our offensive philosophy. And until that changes, and it needs to change this week, because if we come out with the same kind of philosophy, we'll lose against LSU, and this is just all going to be exacerbated that much more.
Well, and I'm going to give my best case, but just on what you were saying, though, I don't understand. I think you and I could sit there, and Randy, and we could put together a play that would work, right? When I see JF3, can he throw? I don't know. But when I saw him run, and then they said that he was on the 4x400 at FSU, who takes track pretty serious, I'm going to find some way to get him in the game. I don't care. But what I'm not going to do is put him in and run basically the same play. I watched that drive. It did open up. Pepway's got huge holes. They don't know what to do. Before that drive stalled, they figured it out. Oh, you're going to run the same play every single time, and all we got to do is crash in and shut that down. Oh, it's over. But I'm going to give you the best case, because I don't understand the coaching. I'm done with him. I heard James say he was done. I was done when he pulled Sean in the second drive at Clemson for no reason. Done. But here's the best case, and I don't think it's going to happen. But if Jace Jacobs stepped up and started finding someone right now. You talked about Tom Herman going to South Carolina, and then they lost to Citadel, and he backed out because he said that was too much work. But those conversations were already happening. And I'm pretty sure that Georgia had Kirby Smart lined up at some level before they ever kind of pushed Mark Richt on out the door. So it is an advantage knowing. You don't do and just wait to the end of the year and then you fire them because you're mad we lost to Alabama, and you form a committee and you abdicate the throne and you let everybody do your job for you. Right now is when Jay Jacobs, if he's got a shot at figuring it out, and I'm not saying I'm believing that, I'm just saying best case, right now we're lining up what happens. Somebody's coaching, somebody's there, but those conversations are happening right now.
Very good answer. Grenade, we will talk about it on the other side. And I think that the way we need to talk about this is, Andy, do we believe there's any chance that that is actually going on? Thank you, Grenade. Up against the break, 888-9, Tiger 9, 334-887-3401. A lot of great phone calls coming in. And, Andy, we're going to take a lot more as we move on throughout the program.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after these messages. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Sports Call. Andy and Randy here with you for about 40 more minutes. Taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9 toll-free or locally at 334-887-3401. Kirk Herbstreit's son, upset of the week, Auburn over LSU. How you feel about that?
I don't think it's going to help.
Appreciate it, kid, but hey, who knows?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the biggest upset in the world because, like we said, LSU's, if anything, down on their luck too. The 100% statement of the day, though, is whichever one of these coaches loses, pretty much the writing's on the wall.
Seals
at that
their
point.
fate.
5 at 5, brought to you by Coors Light. Andy, let's quickly get through those as we'll head back to the phone lines here in a second. But I want to thank Coors Light for being the sponsor of 5 at 5.
Yeah, absolutely. In week 2, or in week 2's last NFL game, Carson Wentz and the Eagles beat the Chicago Bears last night to move to 2-0. Cutler injured his right thumb in the loss. He'll undergo tests today. How about Carson Wentz, though? To a rookie coming in was like from North Dakota State, right? Who just beat Iowa. Don't schedule North Dakota State. What are you thinking? Iowa? They pay him a check. I think they wrote him a check for $350,000, and they beat you.
Let's move to number 2. In the win, Wentz became only the 5th quarterback since 1970 to start the season 2-0. The previous 4 are who? John Elway, Ryan Leaf, Joe Flacco, and, Mark Sanchez.
Well, 2 for 2. I mean, 2 of those guys went on to have pretty good careers or in the process of one. 2 other ones, not so much.
Number 3, Tebow Mania is back in the state of Florida. 8 years after the Heisman winner left the Gators and went pro, Tebow is back. The 29-year-old arrived in Port St. Lucie yesterday for his first day with the Mets instructional program. More than 70 members of the media were in attendance to cover Tebow's first day. Any chance?
He's a perfect guy for minor league baseball because it's all about promotion. They just want you to get there and get in the seat. So I think he'll play minor league baseball. No chance he has a meaningful major league career.
Number 4 is Oklahoma coach Bob Stoops has barred the media from talking to some of his players. This in response to backup quarterback Austin Kendall's comments on local TV in the days leading up to the Ohio State game. Kendall called the Buckeyes defense basic and predicted Baker Mayfield would throw all over them. The Sooners lost 45-28, and Mayfield threw 3 interceptions. Did you see the debacle in Oklahoma that has happened this year, or just 2 tough opponents?
But 2 tough opponents. I mean, big games. Ohio State's better than Oklahoma. That's, Houston's probably on the same level, but they're a little better too, better coached, certainly offensively. So, I think a lot of this is probably overblown a little bit. I mean, are you telling me if that quarterback had not said a word, Oklahoma had a better chance of winning that game? Come on.
Last one here on the 5 at 5, brought to you by Coors Light. Auburn offensive line commit Austin Troxell tore his ACL for the 2nd straight season. 4-star offensive tackle is the number 4 prospect in the state of Alabama and committed to the Tigers over the Tide back in June. Hate to see that. Hate to see it for the kid. He's a tremendous athlete. I think I've mentioned we've not only seen him on the football field for 4 years now. I've seen him a lot on the basketball court when he's not hurt. When he's out there, he's a dynamic athlete, which you don't see a lot from lineman type. When you're on the basketball court, you can tell what type of athlete he is.
It makes me nervous that it's the same knee. If it was the other knee, you get that repaired. I mean, you're okay. But maybe a lot of people come back from 2. Not a big deal these days. So, but you just hate to hear it.
Back to the phone lines. Jake, you're on Sports Call.
I think Jake hung on on us.
Jake, we'd love to hear from you back. 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401. Our phone lines are open.
Maybe we hung up on him.
Best case scenario, it's not best case scenario of record for Auburn. It's best case scenario in your opinion. Is it a new coach? Who would that coach be? How would the committee work? Or is it a win Saturday and reeling off one win after another to end up the season? And do you see any chance of that happening as an Auburn fan? 888-9-TIGER-9.
I said 7-6 as far as a record is concerned is the best case scenario. What say you?
I have a hard time seeing where the 7's going to come from. I do.
Well, La Monroe and Alabama A&M, or is that who we play?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
2.
That's 2.
So that gets you to 3.
That gets you to, where's the other 3? Where
so
are
that
they?
gets you, well, Vandy, Mississippi State, and Arkansas have to be those 3, I would say. Right now, that's a tricky proposition.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Mick, you're on Sports Call. Mick, you there with us?
He sounds funny.
Let's
he
hope,
sounds like dead air.
Let's hope we can catch up with a few of these phone calls that are coming through. 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401. I'd have to see something different than I've seen the first 2 real tests that Auburn's had this year to make me believe that. I mean, do I think, I mean, Mississippi State and Arkansas, they aren't great. LSU's not either. But to be as anemic as we are offensively, to look like we have no identity at all, we'd have to play our defense would have to hold them right now. I think we'd have to hold them to under 16 to win.
Oh, yeah. We might have to hold, We might have to hold them 10. I mean, if we're honest. If we can throw the ball a little bit better, which I think we're capable of, I don't know what in the world we were trying to do against Texas A&M.
Back to the phone lines. Mick, you're on Sports Call.
Hey, it's Mike from Montgomery.
Mike, we're glad to have you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm like you. I don't know what we were trying to do, but we need to be more of a passing team. We've got some really good receivers. I don't think drop balls are going to be the problem this year. There was a point in the game where I realized that we were going to have to loosen that defense up by I said, we just need a passing drive now. If something doesn't change, we're going to lose this game. So I'm like, we need a 10-play drive for a touchdown. I don't care. I think we might need to throw the ball 7 or 8 times. And that's the very drive that Gus trots out Chandler Cox and the Wildcat. Do you remember that?
I do.
What is the Chandler Cox package all about?
That's a good question. I do not know. That's what he ran in high school, so I'm assuming they felt like we would be able to surprise some people because you don't often see that in college football, but it has not been successful so far.
Well, he goes out there and they ran 2 plays and lost 3 or 4 yards, and then Sean has to go back out on 3rd and about 15, and there was no chance there. I think he might have completed the ball, and it just wasn't enough for a first down. But Gus just does not have near enough confidence in Sean. I don't get it. I mean, the guy can play. He just needs a coach that has a little confidence in him. I mean, it would help if our offensive line could pass protect. But
that would help.
Yeah, I mean, if these tackles don't improve, we'll get Sean killed. But we got to loosen the defense up throwing the ball, and we've got an accurate passer, and we got some really, really good receivers. And how many times did we target Megatron or what's his name?
Kyle Davis or
Kyle Davis. Yeah, I mean the guy looks like Megatron. How many times did we target him?
Maybe twice. Maybe.
I mean, these coaches have got to get their head out of their ass.
Good phone call. We appreciate it out there. And let's go back to the phone lines. Got a couple of more. Let's try to get one more before we head to break. William, you're on Sports Call.
Yes. Hey, guys. I wanted to call in real quick and reverse. I know y'all talk about worst case scenario, but let's just talk realistic scenario real quick. I mean, how many games going forward, if they happen today, on our schedule will we be favored in for the rest of the year?
That's a better way to
Two.
spin
You're
it.
up at
Two.
two. Okay,
Well,
so
three.
so what
We'll
is
be favored against Vandy, yeah, probably. So I'll say 3.
Vandy? Okay, so let's just say realistically, because Vegas knows best, we win 3 more games. That puts us at what? 4-8 is how the people that do this for a living project us to finish the season. Basically, if you look at it. So that's a realistic scenario. And then where does that put us? 1 SEC win, 8 losses, no bowl. Do y'all think Gus survives? I'll hang up and listen.
Not a chance in the world. I cannot come up with any. There's no way, Andy. Is there any way he can go 4-8 or 5-7 and hold on? And you're and look, you brought it up this way. Not all 7-6s are made the same. So you needed to see how we play. From the start of the season, your confidence level even risen at all?
Oh, it's been decimated.
So I can't imagine. I mean, this fan base will be disgusted beyond belief. And it's very important because you're a season ticket holder. I'm a long-time season ticket holder. It gets tough to take not only it's not necessarily the money, it's the time, man. It's a lot of time and effort to take the whole family over there, which we do, and tailgate and go and love and be around Auburn to get the type of product in return that we're getting. It's tough to defend.
Up against a break. Don't go anywhere. More Sportscall on the way right after this.
Everybody knows you've been stepping on my toes, and I'm getting pretty tired of it. You keep stepping out of line and I'm messing with my mind. If you had any sense, you'd quit.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Call on this Tuesday afternoon. Andy and Randy here with you for two more segments, taking your phone calls at 1-888-9-TIGER-9, toll free locally at 334-887-3401. Best case scenario moving forward in the Auburn season, is that record? Is that coaching changes? Grenade said that Jay Jacobs was going ahead and making those arrangements tomorrow. So, what's your best case scenario for the rest of the season? And what's your thoughts? Any thoughts you might have about the Auburn past, present, or future?
Back to the phone lines. Daniel, you're on Sports Call.
Hey.
Glad to have you, Daniel.
Hey, how y'all doing? I was just calling in. I've been following football. I'm 22. I can't think of a time in Auburn football where I've never felt that the coach can help the team. I feel so helpless because we have so much talent. I feel like we have more talent than we've had. We have more talent than we did in 2013, and it's just the coaching on the offensive side of the ball that continues to, just put us in bad situations, and it's a horrible feeling. I just want to get y'all's guys' thoughts on that.
Thanks for the call, Daniel. We appreciate all of them out there. 888-9-TIGER-9. You want to start on that one?
I felt the same way. I mean, I wrote a column about the Clemson game. I thought the coach, that's the first time I think I'd ever said, I think the coach gave the team no chance to win the game. And then Arkansas State happened, and yes, they were an inferior opponent, obviously, and I think we're coming to find out they are horrendous. But I felt like, we made better play calling. We had a better idea what we wanted to do. We looked like we, at least had some semblance of an idea. We were setting up things, now and then we reverted right back in Texas A&M to we just like we're calling plays to call. Nothing sets anything up. We're not trying to take advantage of an aggressive defense against us, not doing anything that normal, even mediocre coaches do. So I agree totally with that. I don't think the coaching staff, the offensive coaching staff, is giving Auburn a fair opportunity to win.
Back to the phone lines. Got several holding out there. Joey, you're on Sports Call.
Hey, Joey.
Hey.
Glad to have you, Joey.
How y'all doing?
We're good.
First time I've ever called, and I've listened to it for quite a long time, and everybody seems to be so concerned about throwing the ball, but you got one of the best running backs in the country. You got a line that can't pass protect. The easiest thing for linemen to do is to run block. And I think what Auburn's going to have to do in the future, or from here on, is just run that guy, run Kerryon Johnson, use Chandler Cox to get out wide, and you're going to have to wear defenses down. Because what's going to happen after 2 or 3 more games, Auburn's defensive line is going to wear down, and then it's just going to be a cakewalk. Because it seems like their starting front 7 is good, but then when they start substituting people, it kind of falls off a little bit. And sooner or later, they're going to get weary. And I really think if Gus is going to be a head coach, turn it over to Rhett Lashley, see what he can do. If he can't handle it, get somebody in there to run the offense with what they have. And I think they can do fine. I think they can have a decent year if they just make up their mind. I'm going to run it down your throat. We're coming right over you all night, big boy. Get ready and just do it to them. Because I'm telling you, LSU has found a pretty decent quarterback if you watched him. And they're going to have to play ball to beat those boys. But they can beat them if they run the ball and keep it out of their hands.
Great phone call,
If we
Joey.
do that, if we adopt that, I think you got to start John Franklin because it opens up the running game that much more. And I mean, if that's the offense, and I'm fine, let's do it. Let's commit to it if we want to do that, if we're going to go that route. But John Franklin's got to be the guy then.
Great phone call, Joe, and we hope it's not your last time to call with a call like that. Back to the phone lines. Bobby, you're on Sports Call. Bobby, you there with us?
Yeah, man.
Glad to have you, buddy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're on air.
Oh, I know. You got 5 second delay.
No, that's okay.
I'm just calling about Jay Jacobs and the BOT. being accountable for who they hire. I mean, last coaches. You got Cheesy, you got Gus Malzahn. I mean, what's y'all take on it?
I think we need a new AD.
Yeah, maybe the president of Auburn, when next one they hire, would do the firing of everybody else. Appreciate the call.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. There's a systemic problem at Auburn, and it starts at the top. And, you know, we could go into – and, you know, we're not going to go into – I'm not going down the list, but again, I go back to – if you fire Gus, you got to remember who's going to be doing the hiring.
Been about 100%er today.
Yeah.
That with the Auburn faithful with very little confidence. If you have no confidence in Gus, there may be less. And Jacob's making the right decision moving forward.
I think that's probably accurate.
And the saddest part, you ask an interesting question that I think is worthy of bringing up. You said during the break, if Nick Saban were to happen to have been chosen to come to Auburn rather than Alabama, would we have won as much as Alabama has? And my answer to you is yes. And the reason is not because what we've seen at other schools, because Ole Miss, they still haven't won anything. Mississippi State, there's a lot of programs out there that haven't. But when all the stars align and things are going in our direction, Auburn has proven in 10, and not only just Cam Newton, but in 13 again, that we can put a championship contender on the field. Now, we can't hold on to it. We can't sustain it at all. And I do believe that that's got something to do with coaching. Maybe something to do with the culture overall from the head man down, and I'm not just talking about the head coach there. But so my answer was yes, because we have shown in two different occasions that we can get ourselves there. Other programs haven't. Until they prove that they can go and play for championships and win one, then I don't think that they can say what we just said right there, Andy. But we have on two separate occasions.
Maybe that's what it'll take. We haven't had a strong enough personality since Pat Dye to be able to come in and really rule the roost. And, you know, he was AD for a while. I mean, you know, you don't do that anymore.
You don't think Tuberville was?
No, not really. I mean, I think he had a strong personality, but it wasn't one that, you know, just kind of dominated in the whole program, I don't think. I mean, he had people on one side or the other about whether you liked him or not. And but that's certainly the most he's the closest thing we've had since then. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that's the most consistent episode or consistent time that we've had. So I don't know. Boy, this is just not a lot of – it's just not a lot of fun anymore to go to and watch Auburn play.
Unfortunate. Back to the phone lines, Mike. You're on Sportscall.
Hello.
Glad to have you, Mike.
How you doing?
We're good.
I'm good. I just checking with you. I don't know about you guys, but I'm beginning to see some bad similarities between Gus's situation this year and Jeremy's situation last year. It looks like they both just lost confidence and having, little issues that way. And I didn't know if y'all saw it that way or not.
Hey, there are some definite parallels. I mean, they both in the past have looked very competent, very really good at what they do. And then all of a sudden, when the lights have come on here, certainly going back to Jeremy, but, the lights have shined pretty brightly on Malzahn. I went back and looked, of course, we win the SEC title in 2013. We go as high as number 2 in the country in 2014.
Yeah.
And then, midway through the season, it just starts to, we can't stop South Carolina. They run up down the field on us. But, of course, that Texas A&M game, and it seems like as the lights have gotten brighter, Malzahn has shrunk. And that's really what happened to Jeremy as well.
Yeah, it just looks like some of that edge is gone. It's like that first half performance of Jeremy blew everybody away with and had everybody thinking, here's a potential Heisman fella. Gus sort of had that first year and part of the second year, and then, you know, I don't know if the reality set in or if they were just pumped up to be more than they actually are. But I do think it's a mental thing for both of them in a way. And I don't know that Jeremy will ever get the opportunity to turn around, and I think this is Gus's, you know, opportunity to turn around now, because I don't think he'll be allowed many more opportunities. This is his season. So, you know, he's got his chance. He's just going to have to try and pull it out and do it.
Great phone call, Mike. We sure do appreciate it this afternoon. Yeah, confidence level seems to be
bottoming out.
And it started definitely last year. I think that's when more friends and fans that I talked to started mentioning. And today it was kind of revealing if you didn't catch the first hour of the program. And Brian Matthews and Jason Caldwell do a tremendous job calling in each week with us. And they're beat writers. They do a tremendous job. They're in and around the program. And Brian didn't say anything negative towards Gus Malzahn, not whatsoever. But he did say it was the first time he'd seen him like he saw him today at the press conference. You add a little bit to that, Andy.
Yeah, he just said that he was he took responsibility for everything. He was I don't know. I don't know if contrite. I don't know what's the best word to describe it, not having actually seen him, but docile almost, I guess. Defeated, I think maybe. He said the last two games, said he'd been at Auburn 7 years. And even when a guy goes back and he starts talking about his history, you know, he's been there 7 years. He's had some good times. He's had some bad times. But the last two losses may be the worst in his, you know, that he feels like. And I think that goes back to Auburn could have, if not should have, won both those games. I mean, Auburn's gotten beat. And there's one thing about getting beat when you're not as good as the other team. But when you're as good as the other team, if not better, and you get beat, and it's not that close, I mean, as you're as a head coach, it's at your foot. It's on your doorstep.
And it's disappointing.
For all of us.
The reason, our question of the day, best case scenario, let me tell you, worst case scenario you'd have told me at the first of the year is that we're going to have to go through this again. I mean, it is becoming I don't know how to describe it. But as an Auburn fan, it seems like it's just a matter of time. You're just sitting around and you're saying this thing's going to fall apart. And if I would have been told this leaving the Rose Bowl Stadium in 2013 when we had lost in year one, that only 3 short years later we would be trying to at least discuss the end of the Gus Malzahn era, there's no chance I would have believed that. And I don't think anybody that was with us, there wasn't a lot of truly depressed Auburn fans leaving that field that night. We'd love to have won, but it was almost like it's year one. Look what we're already doing. Imagine what's to come. Look at the recruiting classes we're putting together. There's no way this guy could not have an offense. If we could just get a better than 87th ranked defense that we can put out there, just imagine what can. And 3 short years later, we're where we are. It's mind-boggling.
You know who Sisyphus is?
No.
Condemned to roll a stone up a hill only for it to fall down to the bottom of the hill every single day. That's what being an Auburn fan is right now. We're Sisyphus. Every time we roll the stone up, it comes rolling back down. It's a frustrating life. Up against a break, one final segment of the Tuesday Sports Call right after this.